What's up, Speedy's Garage gang, and welcome back to the Speedy's Garage YouTube channel. I was supposed to be at the drag strip this weekend, but the weather didn't cooperate. So I'm going to take this opportunity to knock out a couple of small projects on the 170 here. The first one is going to be to install some countermeasures. And this is a little bit of an older radar detector, but it actually works really well. And I've always loved these blend mounts that actually mount it to the rearview mirror. It keeps it up and out of the way. And in a modern car, most of them have powered rearview mirrors, so you can use like a wiretap like this. And you can buy these, and they're kind of expensive for what they are. It's an RJ11 telephone connector, and I actually made these myself. I used D-sub pins. There's the part number from Radio Shack. You can probably get these online. I'll leave a link in the description down below if you want to make these yourself to what I used. And this is literally just a piece of a telephone cord that I cut. It doesn't really matter what the wire colors are. It matters where the pins are located in the connector. And so for this one, I used red and green to make it simple. The other end of the RJ11 would be green and red. They would be flipped. So red and green, obviously red's going to be my power and green's going to be my ground. But bottom line is it's those two. Hopefully you can see that connectors right there for power and ground. Just substitute your color if it happens to be different. And I like to make mine nice by putting a little bit of wire loom on them. Makes it look professional. And these are some I've just, like I said, made over the years and had in different vehicles. One of these links will definitely work in the Demon. You will need, the blend mount comes with this little Allen hex wrench, we're going to call it. It is a 7/64, which was sort of a weird size. This gives me a little bit more reach. So I've got a tool like that I'm going to use. And then a little trim tool for the mirror. It does come with some extra screws and stuff that I don't think you're going to need, but keep them in case you lose them. I'll probably put them in the armrest along with this guy just in case I ever need to make an adjustment. Now let's get to work. The mirror is attached to sort of a bolt on the windshield, and it's spring loaded. And all you've got to do is just gently grab the mirror and give it a slight twist and pull straight down, and it will come loose, giving you access to these plastic tabs on the back. Hopefully you can see those, and then we'll just unlock those with the trim tool and remove the plastic. I brought the mirror over to the workbench so you could see it a little bit better in the light. Here's a little spring-loaded clamp that holds it to the windshield, and that's a safety feature in case you have an accident and your head hits the mirror. It's designed to easily come off so you won't injure yourself on it. There is a plug that you will unplug. It's right there on the front. It has a black and a pink with violet stripe, I believe it was, wire. Little gray plug, just unplug that. To get these plastic covers off, I wanted to show you the tabs. So the way they connect together, this snaps into that obviously. Here are the little tabs on each side. There's just two, but they are, this plastic is not flimsy. It's not flexible. So be gentle with it. And what I did is I just slid the pry tool right in between the tab and just gently pried out until this popped off. And then there is one kind of plastic clip that holds this to the bottom of the mirror. It slides on. I'll show you. Like this. And it's really easy to remove. You just gently push on that right hand side. That will unlock and come off the mirror. And now you've got sort of everything out of the way. The whole reason we did all this, it only took about 4 minutes, is to get access to the connector that's on the back of the mirror right here, so we can put in the wiretap. Here is the connector I was referring to, and you can see there is a orange with black stripe, a black, and a pink, and I think that's a violet stripe. Black is ground, and I'll show a picture of the wiring diagram or pinout for this connector so you can know it's right. And pink with violet stripe is our 12-volt power. Now what we're going to do is simply slide the red pin in behind and beside the pink wire, and the green pin, which will be ground, in behind and beside the black wire, and that's how we're going to get power to the radar detector. There are the pins inserted, and they should slip right in. I found it easiest to sort of pull these wires up just a little bit towards the top and then slide the pins in the bottom. Gave me some room, and they're nice and snug. But now I'll just put a zip tie on this to sort of hold it all together, and then I'm going to test the radar detector. If we got everything right, this should work in accessory, and it does, so we are good to go. Through experience, I've learned that I like mine tucked right up against the mirror to keep the detector out of my field of view for the most part. And this thing is super adjustable. And so this little part, you can just take the two little hex head screws out, put it aside, and then you're just connecting the radar mount directly to the arms instead of having the extension in there. Hopefully that makes sense. But that shortens the distance between the radar detector and the mirror by about an inch. So that's how I like to run them in mine. As they say, your mileage may vary. Got the zip tie in place. This is ready to be plugged back in. And now we're ready to reinstall the mirror. And like I showed you, this pops off really easy. Actually, you may even have been adjusting your mirror and had it come off, and then you got confused on how to put it back on. But if you look at this little hexagonal bolt or nut that's fused to the back of the windshield, 3 of the tabs, 1, 2, and 3, so left, right, and bottom, have a little lip on them. And top, left, and right, these larger ones do not. So what you want to do is line the mirror up, the kind of spring-loaded clip, with the tabs that do not have a lip on them, and then you're going to turn it counterclockwise to lock it back in place. And there's probably not a chance in this world that I'm going to get this to work one-handed, but yeah, I'm going to have to use both hands. Be right back. There it is, locked back into place, and I found it easiest to sort of come from the far left side and rock it in. There's a little clip back here that kind of holds the camera or whatever they use for the windshield wiper, the automatic windshield wipers. And so you don't want to hit that. That's the whole stuff. And it was kind of in the way, so I had to come from this side over, locked right back in place, no problem. Next, just pop your plastic pieces back on. The big one is first. It slides straight up, super easy. The top piece, you just want to slide over back behind the mirror. It helps to turn the mirror down. And then I ran my cable right out the top because there was a little bit of gap between this upper plastic piece and the windshield. And now we're just ready to set the radar detector up. So there it is, all finished up. As you can see, super nice and clean installation. It's viewable so I can see it and obviously hear it, but it's out of my line of sight, so it's not going to be distracting. The cable, or the power cable, is nice and tight. And the way I like to adjust it is I set my mirror where I want it to be first, and then I adjust the mount around it. You want to make sure like the little lever up front isn't touching the plastic on the bottom of the mirror. You want to make sure that the screws on the back aren't touching the mirror so that you don't have any, little scratches or anything like that that can end up. I've got about 2 or 3 millimeters of space between everything. So that is good to go. And best of all, it powers up with all the other accessories in the car, and it powers off the exact same way. You can see it's on still, just like the dash, but when I open the door, everything powers off. And to sort of go along with this project, I took the car down and had the windows tinted. Now that may sound like a small thing, but I'll be honest with you, I've been driving it around without them tinted, and our other cars do have tinted windows. I didn't realize just how much heat and just blazing from the sun, now that it's summertime, the tinted windows were cutting out. I'll show you a little shot of how they look. We have laws here in Tennessee, and I think 35% might be the limit. And the guy was like, hey, how dark do you want to go? And I was like, well, it's already a magnet, so let's not go too crazy. So it is legal, 35%, but it's a nice charcoal color. And man, it makes a huge difference. It is 97 degrees outside right now. Just flicked to 98 on the instruments here. And I can tell the AC is not having to work as hard. I'm not having to point the vents directly at me. So just another small modification to the car to make it nicer on the street. I prefer to take the mirror out of the car and work with it on the workbench, but technically you can do it in the car if you don't mind contorting yourself around to get to everything. With as easy it is to pop off, a little twist counterclockwise, mirror comes right off like you saw. A little twist clockwise puts it back in place. Just line up the flats like I showed you, and it'll pop on and off really, really easy. And I find it a lot easier to do it on the workbench. For me, that countermeasure is really a safety item more than anything. I don't go blasting around town, 100 miles an hour all the time or anything like that. But how many times have you been riding along and the person in front of you happens to see a law enforcement officer, and what do? They jam on their brakes. It's like the instant reaction to that. And so now you're jamming on your brakes so you don't run into the back of them, and you're praying the person behind you jams on their brakes so they don't run into the back of you. Well, I would prefer to know where those law enforcement officers might be, and that way I'm ready for that, and I can start to back off a little bit knowing that there's going to be someone or a law enforcement officer ahead. So it has worked out really, really good for me doing that in the past. And that's going to be it for today. A couple of pretty simple little easy projects. The blend mount takes about 20 minutes to install, and the tinted windows just add to the drivability, in my opinion, of the car. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Be sure to check us out on Instagram. It's at Speedies_garage, as well as the website, www.speediesgarage.net, and hopefully I'll see you out there.